It was one of those small, hungry evenings when you want dinner to be easy. Not special. Not memorable. Just warm, fast, and quietly satisfying. I had already decided what to order before I walked in. That felt like a good start. There was only one problem. The dish came with onions. A lot of onions, usually. And I did not want a lot of onions. Or any onions, really. So before I opened the door, I stood outside for a moment and practiced the sentence in my head. No onions, please. Simple. Useful. Completely manageable. I said it once silently. Then again. Then one more time with the careful seriousness of someone preparing for a very small but personally important performance. Inside, the restaurant was busy in a soft, ordinary way. People were eating, talking, looking at their phones. A child was drinking juice with both hands. Somewhere behind the counter, oil crackled faintly. The air smelled warm and salty and good. I joined the line and kept my sentence ready. No onions, please. No onions, please. That was all. I did not need charm. I did not need confidence. I only needed those 3 useful words to arrive at the right moment. When it was my turn, the cashier smiled and asked what I wanted. I ordered the dish, and so far, everything was going well. So well, in fact, that I relaxed too early. Again. A pattern, apparently. Then came the important part. The onion part. The sentence I had prepared so faithfully. The sentence that had waited outside with me like a small, loyal friend. I looked at the cashier, opened my mouth, and said, "No English." Not no onions. No English. The words landed with terrible clarity. Clean. Immediate. Unmistakable. And the worst part was that they sounded like they belonged to some entirely different problem. A much larger one. A much sadder one. A problem I had not meant to announce to anyone. The cashier paused. Just for a second. Then looked at me with sudden kindness, the kind people use when they think a conversation may now become more difficult than expected. And of course, that made everything worse. Because I had English. Not perfect English. Not fast English. Not elegant English. But enough to order dinner, pay for it, and accidentally explain that I could not do the very thing I was doing. I felt the sentence turn over inside me. No onions. No onions. That was the one. That was all I had wanted. But now it was too late. The wrong words were already standing there between me and the cashier, looking strangely confident. So I laughed. Because sometimes there is a tiny moment when embarrassment is still deciding what shape to take, and laughter is the only way to keep it from growing. I shook my head and said, "No, sorry. Not no English. No onions." The cashier blinked once. Then smiled. A real smile this time. The kind that arrives when the misunderstanding finally shows its harmless little face. "No onions," she said. "Yes," I said, still laughing. "That's the one." She nodded, tapped something on the screen, and repeated it back to me to make sure. No onions. Such a simple phrase. Such a peaceful phrase. When she said it, it sounded so easy that I almost wanted to apologize to the onions themselves for all the confusion. I stepped aside to wait for my food and felt that warm, strange feeling that comes after a small public mistake. Not exactly shame. Not quite relief. Just the awareness that for a few seconds you had been living inside the wrong sentence, and now you were out again. Around me, the restaurant stayed busy. Trays moved. A door opened. Someone called a name. Nothing had changed. That helped. The world had not stopped to examine my onion problem. It had simply kept going. A few minutes later, my number was called. I picked up the bag, thanked the cashier, and this time said only things that fully belonged to the moment. That felt wise. Maybe even mature. At least for 5 seconds. Outside, the evening air felt cooler than before. I stood under the streetlight for a moment with the warm bag in my hand and the whole exchange still replaying itself, but more gently now. Less like failure. More like something I would end up telling later with a smile. When I got home and opened the container, there were no onions. which somehow made the whole thing feel worth it. The sentence had taken the scenic route, but it got there in the end.